Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Fired Up. My name is Morgan McClintock, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Chris Albrecht. Hey, Chris.
Hey, great to be here. So today we're talking with Hollie Wegman, the COO of Attio. This is a CRM startup that is competing with some of the biggest companies in technology, and for that matter, some of the biggest companies in business. So the question we're looking at today is how, as a startup, do you compete? How do you make a space for yourself in a field that's full of gigantic companies? Like, how do you find that niche? How do you make room? And I think that's a problem that a lot of our listeners are facing. So I'm really excited to get Hollie's perspective on it.
Right. Hollie has been the VP of marketing at MuleSoft, which was bought by Salesforce, at Envoy, at Segment as well, which was bought by Twilio. So she has a long history in marketing. And now she's the COO, has a broad role at Attio. And look, how does a startup think about competing with companies like Salesforce? And going up against them, or HubSpot for that matter, let alone Pipedrive and Copper and all the other players in a space like CRM, very established, large market. How do you find a niche? Do you need to wait for like a technical shift? You think about the no software campaign for Salesforce when they moved into the cloud. Is AI that shift, I wonder? And they sort of saw that. Or do you kind of find a little segment of the market and kind of use that as a beachhead and then sort of expand from there? How do you stop being crushed by these guys? I mean, if I think about AI being that opening, Salesforce has just had Agentforce. It's huge in AI. So, is that really a wedge? I think we need to ask Hollie about that because I don't see it.
These are the questions that keep our listeners up at night. You're asking the big questions for startups. Almost any startup, any tech startup is up against established competitors. I mean, there are very few that are truly operating in a greenfield market, right? Hollie is grappling with the big questions and she's had a lot of experience grappling with them. I'm really, excited to hear what she has to say.
Right. And, Attio is red hot right now. You just see them everywhere. They're definitely getting it right. So I think that there's a lot that we can learn from what they're doing. So please join me in welcoming Hollie Wegman, the COO of Attio, to Fired Up. Hollie, hi. Welcome to Fired Up. How are you?
Hi. It's good to see you. I'm great.
It's great to have you here. So today we're going to be talking about how to break into an established category. And you are the COO of Attio, a CRM company. And obviously that's a very established category. So just sort of top of the show here, perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about your role as COO there and what Attio is.
Thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm excited to do this. So Attio is a CRM. We're on a mission to sort of redefine the CRM category. Our vision is to build a powerful CRM and one that's flexible and a delight to use.
Sounds like a good mission.
Easy, right?
Yeah, easy. And so as a COO, most of the people listening to this on the marketing side, and you came from the marketing side, but what does a COO do actually there?
I am focused on helping the company through the highest problem we have at the moment. Our founders really focus deeply on engineering and product, and I help with a lot of the other areas of the business. And a growing startup, especially one growing as fast as we are and trying to build as ambitious of a product as we are, has plenty of challenges. So there's lots of things for me to do, including helping with support, helping with legal, helping with talent, helping with marketing, anything that's on deck for that day, half day, hour. I'm there for it.
Okay. Pretty broad role, but sort of tackling the challenges. And so the CRM sector is an established one. It's been around since the 80s. A lot of people remember sort of ACT. And then we had CBOL and Salesforce and HubSpot, various sort of iterations. Why would Attio enter such a competitive market?
Yeah, that's a good question. I was wondering that too, because I come from Salesforce, right? So when I heard about a new CRM, I was naturally skeptical. Why enter a competitive sector? I guess CRM's been around a while, right?
Yeah.
It's very established as an important tool. There's a huge market. And I think because of that, there's actually plenty of room for lots of players. But interestingly, there are not a lot of players that are actually really winning that. And people want more choice. So there's room now for new tools.
When you're looking at the market, an established market like CRM, do you feel like the opportunity for a challenger like Attio is always present, or does it take some kind of technological shift to create an opening?
Yeah, I think with AI happening now, and it's being, so big in terms of the way technology is changing, it feels natural to say that is our opening. I think that can be a big opening for a lot of companies that are trying to create a category, certainly. I think what Salesforce had was they had cloud. Might say that was their opening. I actually think CRM long needed shaken up before AI came along. And I think it was going to happen regardless of whether there was that kind of moment. But that said, Attio is a AI native tool. AI is in our DNA, but other parts of the way that we approach the problem are what really made the foundations for us to be able to disrupt.
So, Holly, I'd love for you to dig in on that a bit, because CRM, as Morgan said, is such an established space. You saw it going in. Technological advantage is important, but when you're up against all the advantages that established players have, what exactly is the opportunity for there to like sort of wedge into the market? It sounds like you felt like CRM was existing with some shortcomings for a while, and that it was open to disruption. What was lacking, and what is still lacking, perhaps?
The opportunity is there's a lot of technology. If you look at Attio, we have a fully modern architecture, data model. We have AI at the forefront. We try to make it a pleasure to use. But like a really simple answer of what might be lacking is, do people enjoy using CRMs? That to me is like the really reason why there's a place for somebody to have a chance at a category where there already are players that are very dominant. And I don't know about you or people but do they love opening their CRM the way we love opening Notion or Figma or some of the other products that we feel great using all day long? And is it easy to use the CRM? Do I feel like I can get what I need to get out of it quickly and easily? And when that's not there, there's a signal. And no matter who's there, I think that is where to look.
So, Holly, how does that translate into product? How is Attio coming at the problem differently from other CRM companies, and how do you actually see that in the product?
First, we don't discount what people have done before us. We looked at the failed CRMs, we look at the great CRMs, we look at all kinds of other revenue tools, we look at non-revenue tools. We take the best of what everybody's learned and does well, and we start there. And then we never stop innovating from that point and imagining like new and different things that can happen in our product that actually make it even more extraordinary than everything that's existed before, which sounds like so obvious, but I think a lot of people that try to challenge a category, they want to start from a point of wipe away everything that happened before and build it brand new. And we have a lot of respect for what's been built in the past. We want to take the best of all of that knowledge in the basics and fundamentals of what we do. And then we want to honor that. And now we want to make it more modern, more flexible, more fun to use. So we never stop investing in our product. We always invest in our brand as well. And we want to make sure people feel really good in all the interactions, because that's part of why you might more so love a software. And we listen and genuinely care about our customers when we make decisions about our product. Many of those decisions are our customers asking for something. And we're saying, you're right, that's a really great idea. Let's build that. Sometimes you'll see a couple tweets where we actually build it the same day.
Really? So I like just sort of touching on that customer centricity. If I think about HubSpot, like when they entered the market, they originally were targeting small and medium-sized businesses and then have sort of moved up. And I guess Salesforce before that did. Do you have in mind a specific sort of target market? And how important is that as you're sort of trying to penetrate a big market? You can't please all these people. Did you choose a particular segment to go after?
We did. We started out with a thesis that we'll begin working with smaller companies, similar to HubSpot probably. We wasn't like out of the question that we would work with a larger customer. There's a lot to learn there too. But we do spend a lot of time thinking about really progressive startups in particular. Not that's our only market, but what we love about startups, especially ones that are growing really fast, is we get to grow with them.
Yeah.
And so they start out like an SMB, looking like an SMB. Maybe in a year, they're not very SMB at all. And so they challenge us. They really pressure us to grow and to evolve our product as their needs evolve. And we like to stick with them and learn from them. And then they become bigger customers. So even just because you start as an SMB doesn't mean you don't end up moving up market.
You mentioned people have got to enjoy using the product. And when people first started using Salesforce, I remember using it and thinking, wow, this is amazing because it's up in the cloud. And they had that technological shift with no software to kind of drive that. And then you enjoyed using HubSpot at the beginning too. So I guess people's needs sort of change and their expectations of what they want out of software sort of changes. And you've managed to sort of harness the next part of that. As you're thinking about products, how important is it to get to parity with the core features of a CRM compared to having something that is a little bit different, that's sort of getting in advance of the market and then making that important to customers?
That's the $1 million question, actually. That's what we think about. You know, CRM is an enormous product for a startup to take on. And the way that the cycles work in venture-backed tech is they're quite fast. Companies move from seed, and then there's some pressure to move to A, B, to keep going. Attio's lucky. It's interesting. It's a fun fact about Attio. We started in London. At our seed stage, spent many years building the foundations of our CRM before we even took our Series A. So we were really lucky. So when you get to your question about the parity on core features versus new features, we have this really intense and strong foundation. So adding core features is easier when you have a strong foundation from which you're building, if you already have like the big base. And it gives us some space to add cutting edge functionality as well. So we reject the idea that you have to think in trade-offs like, oh, it's a core feature or it's like a getting parity. We feel like we invested so much in our platform that we should be able to build a lot on top of that.
Just to sort of dive into that, this is a company built outside of Silicon Valley in London, and it took some time to sort of build that core architecture. And having done that, you can then quickly add new features, some of which are core features of a CRM, but others are fresh and different. But it was because you had the baseline and that investment up front, you would say?
I think so. That having that time to build our foundation was really a great thing for us as we now try to innovate for our customers.
Starting as you did in London, I would imagine that some of the early customers were UK, EU based. Is that true?
We had some, but no, we actually have customers around the world, all English speaking regions, because we have a really robust self-service and a free tier. So we get a lot of people around the world.
I was wondering, it seemed as though Attio was really taking on a black diamond marketing challenge there. Because if you're a startup selling in Silicon Valley, a lot of times you're selling to startups that are in the region and culturally very similar to you. But it seems to me, and not having worked directly for a CRM company, tell me if I'm off base on this, but I would imagine that sales is a function that is closely tied into the culture of the place where it's selling. It seems to me like the needs of salespeople and habits and so on of salespeople in different regions might be different. So I'm just wondering, to what extent do you find that the customers of Attio around the world need the same thing? Or do you find that you need to sort of adjust your strategy or even your messaging to the different markets you're playing in?
You'd be surprised. The kind of customer we tend to attract are the savviest of revenue engine builders, I'll call them. And they actually have a very similar archetype. I don't know if that's our brand, our product. I'm not sure what's attracting that, but whether they're in Paris or whether Berlin or whether Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas, they have a very similar mindset. They are sort of revenue engine ninja builder types. And they want the building to feel like magic. So they want to build, but it's not that they want to build with code, but they want to feel that they can really have their hands in shaping their CRM. And so the way Attio is structured is that we give a lot of flexibility to do that. There is not as much difference between these different people as you might think in terms of like how they're thinking and what they want from their CRM. It's actually quite similar.
Okay. I mean, that's one fewer problem you need to worry about then as a marketer.
For the moment, it might change so as we evolve and grow. But yeah, for the moment, we feel there's a lot of similarities between our customers.
That leads into the larger question. You're wearing all sorts of hats as a COO, but one of them is marketing. So highest level, how are you thinking about the marketing challenge for Attio? How are you coming at it? What are your biggest priorities? And to what extent do you feel like the game plan for a company like Attio is the same or different from others where you've had that role?
I think it's different everywhere I've ever worked. I'm a big believer that it's hard to carry a playbook. And it's definitely different at Attio than anywhere I've worked. I think the game plan, I guess if we want to call it that, is we're starting to see there's a movement of people who want a different kind of experience when using their CRM. What are we as marketing then? Where's our opportunity? It's to tap into that. And I think more than any kind of growth tactic, keywords, campaign, our focus is to grab that psychology of the people who want that new kind of vision of CRM and the kind of people who are going to build it, and to keep that going, to make a movement keep going. A lot of our marketing right now, our volume is inbound. And if you look on our socials, you'll see people talking about us, and it surprises us every day what people will say. And if we couldn't have dreamed to have written a better blog than people will write on LinkedIn on a day-to-day basis. So our focus is certainly we want to amplify that through brand, through social, through community, and actually also through just having a really incredible product and like keeping our promises with our customers for service and product, because that actually is the engine behind what makes good word of mouth.
You talked about hearing from customers and prospects, and you have all this inbound. For a company like Attio, what are the most important channels for learning about prospective customers? And what are the channels you're focused on for reaching potential customers who don't know about you yet?
So I'll give you an example. It just happened last week. There was a post about another CRM and how much they're going to be investing in engineering. And it got picked up by Hacker News. And we're on all the channels all the time. We're on Blue Sky, we're on Twitter. We're watching everything all the time. And this was Hacker News, which is another place we like hang out, right? So we saw this reaction. And then what happened was there was maybe hundreds of replies on this post in reaction to this not investing in engineering for this competitor. We read each one, every single one, really carefully, like it was a beautiful novel for us to learn everything 101 on what people are thinking about this choice. And we're forensic that way. We're deeply thoughtful. Everything that we find anywhere, it could be a news article, it could be in the comments of a news article, it could be a Reddit, it could be a tweet, it could be anything. Our company just has this sort of, look at this, they're talking about something. Now, what do we think of this? And how does this help us like think about where people are? We're just kind of deeply listening, I guess. And how do we then turn that into like outbound? Sometimes it's a good strategy to mirror the same channel. Like maybe it means we should write a Hacker News post. I don't know. Not always. But what it definitely means is that we want to take that on, and then we want to understand what users are thinking, feeling, and then we want to use all our channels that we do communicate in and help connect to the feelings that they're having with our message and our product.
You mentioned Blue Sky like a standard channel. I think you're probably ahead of the pack there. One of the questions we've discussed on the podcast before is to what extent Blue Sky is a viable channel for marketing. And I think the conventional wisdom is that it is culturally relatively hostile to brands compared to more established channels like Twitter and Facebook, although setting aside all the recent drama with those channels, but that culturally Blue Sky is less quote unquote open for business. But I don't know. I mean, are you mainly using Blue Sky for listening or for interaction as well?
I think there are channels which I don't necessarily think they're hostile to brands. They're hostile to like fashion marketing. Redditors don't want to see an ad, and Hacker News folks do not even try to drop into Hacker News as a marketer and do something. We don't worry about, okay, that this channel could be hostile to marketers because we try not to approach it as marketers. We try to sort of meet people where they are. And we love Blue Sky. We think it's great. So we're invested. We have a channel. Wherever everybody is, we want to be where you are.
I like this approach of listening to your users wherever they are and using that as a sort of ongoing focus group, if you like, and then having some kind of process to filter out what is signal here, what is noise, and what are we going to do about it. I think that if you can iterate quickly in your product, then that keeps you ahead. So I think that sort of agility feels like a way to keep your advantage when you're breaking into a new category.
On that note, and the answer to this may very well be just TBD, but I'm curious, as a relatively small company compared to some that you're trying to wedge in alongside, to what extent do you think AI is helpful in getting, I'm going to use the word again, getting leverage in your marketing program? Is there any way for a marketer in your position that you're aware of it to use AI as a multiplier? A force multiplier?
Yeah, definitely. I almost feel like I'm going to be out of a job, both as a marketer and a COO and anything else because of how much we use it. I mean, our view is we have a license for OpenAI. We, as a company, we use it freely. We encourage people, go research there and find things out, whether it be a marketing issue or any other issue. We have a big thing to build. The more AI can help us, the better. Personally, I use OpenAI all day long, solving all kinds of problems, just getting ideas about how to solve problems. I'll obviously validate things and check things. And then I also use other AI tools. I use Letterly, which is like a little app you can download that you can, talk in notes into when I'm on a walk. It'll translate those notes into something, more comprehensible. I'll use other AI tools as well. Because AI is in Attio's DNA, in our product DNA, we've been thinking about LLM AI for many years, actually. And so I think it's just really right in our main tool stack everywhere across the company, including marketing.
Oh, that's great. In your experience, in your position right now, where do you find you get the most leverage? What kinds of problems are most amenable to attacking with AI?
I mean, all the problems.
Okay. Yeah.
On it really is, I'm not kidding. I'll just give you an example. Let's say we're going to research doing a referral program. First place to start. Here's 10 companies tell me what their referral programs look like. It's a GPT prompt of, just go really prompt engineer, get down to some real nuggets, learn without having to go to 10 websites, figure things out. The next thing is, okay, I have to write a web page on this and some copy. Okay, people have a lot of tools. I'm not going to go down every AI tool stack, but I might use an AI tool also to help me write that copy for that page. There's going to be AI built into our front end tool that we use increasingly. Every tool we use, Notion has AI. It's everywhere. Everything we touch all the time now has some element, and we're taking advantage of all of it.
Yeah, culturally, it sounds like not only is AI in the product at Attio, it's a cultural value to deploy it in one's work, pretty much whatever role you're in at the company.
Sensibly and thoughtfully. I mean, we understand the limits of it too. It can make mistakes, but it's a great place to start. Start there always and just see what you can learn and go from there.
So you've broken into your category, you're getting some great traction. You're seeing all this feedback. You've got your beachhead, if you like. How do you stop the incumbents then just reacting to you once they see that you're a bit more of a threat, mimicking your messaging and trying to sort of cut you off? How do you counteract that competitive pressure?
I think a lot of companies think we build the best product and the best product will win. But anybody can say anything and confuse the market, particularly in this era where AI is the lead item. We've had AI for years, and somehow everybody's just stacked it onto whatever they're doing. And so we feel like now, do we have to say AI explicitly? Like, oh, maybe we do. There's ways people can say things and confuse the market. And it's a good question. It's a very astute question. I would say the way we battle it is we don't stop innovating on our product, because the product does matter. I know it isn't everything, as I just said, because people will say whatever. Mm-hmm. But we also invest in our brand. We make sure people feel really good in all the interactions they have with us, whether it's through marketing, support, sales, anywhere. And that's going to mean good word of mouth, which will create a cacophony of good that will amplify what we're doing against somebody else saying something different. We listen and we genuinely care about our customers, and our service is really attuned to that. And I think that also manifests in word of mouth. In short, what I'm saying is something like, we do have to rely on the word of mouth. Mm-hmm. So we do our job of making sure we give them a great product and a great service, and then we hope that they'll tell everybody about it, because our little tiny voice is very small. But if all of our customers also speak, then somebody else that's trying to create uncertainty is more likely to be drowned out.
So I love that phrase you used, cacophony of good. And a couple of times you've talked about the importance of investing in the brand and making customers feel good about all the interactions they have. What are the concrete investments? If someone listening to this was looking to put money and energy toward a top 3 areas to create that cacophony of good, or create that feeling of a positive interaction, what should they concretely be investing in?
It's going to sound similar to my other answers. You need your product to deliver what it says it's going to deliver. So that's really important. Mm-hmm. So we need to invest in the product to deliver the product promise. I think we need to invest in our service. One of the things I lead at Attio is customer support, for enormous amounts of time and effort. We hire the best support people that we can get, and we have deep and long sessions thinking about our customer problems. That team is extraordinary. And going back to our thing of listening and caring about the customers, and we internally call it build with love. We build everything with love, and we listen to customers, and we know they care about something. And so we're going to build to what they care about. And that kind of listening piece is important.
The emphasis on customer support is so interesting to me. I've wondered whether in an age where so many companies are trimming or slashing their customer support teams and replacing them with purely technological solutions, or cutting their teams so much by leveraging technology that the user doesn't feel the human touch anymore. I've wondered whether customer support is an underappreciated superpower for startups. And I think the usual criticism is it doesn't scale. As a startup, it's tough to leverage that in an efficient way. But it sounds as though it may pay such dividends that, at least for certain sectors, it's well worth the investment.
Something I said earlier is we don't like to think about making trade-offs between core features and new features. We also don't like to think about making trade-offs about support and scale. We just reject this stuff, right? We're like, no, we can find a way to give people amazing support, and we will find a way to scale it. And I know it defies everything all the business articles have told you, but we are doing it, and we will continue to do it. It's just what we have to do to make this work. And I do think it's a superpower. We know it is, because when we listen back to our customers, they tell us how much they care about it and how much it feels so great to get great support.
So it sounds like to me that you felt like the CRM market is obviously big and was ripe for an additional entrant because people were not truly sort of excited about the user experience and wanted to use a CRM in a different way with a different data architecture. Maybe AI was a bit of a forcing function to sort of open that opportunity up. But Attio has invested in its architecture so that it could rapidly roll out features that users want, and has focused more than most, a key differentiator is the customer centricity there, listening to what they want and quickly rolling out those features and providing the support all comes from giving users a good experience. And that is the sort of competitive differentiator for the company to sort of break in here against larger competitors who are trying to please lots of different constituents with so many features and sort of get a bit sort of sprawled. If you've found your community and you can satisfy their needs, that gives you a big differentiator and a defensive mechanism against the incumbents, because that community will speak up for you and amplify your messaging. Do I have that right if I'm sort of summarizing it?
I'll just add, and you have a team of people who are absolutely obsessed and never stop 24/7.
I'm going to have a good team. Okay, right. Yes. All right.
But yeah, we have a really passionate team that just do not believe in barriers, and we will just go, 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 go. It's unreasonable sometimes how we believe in things, and we believe in our customers and that vision too. So all of that stuff, plus just like our very strong will to do this, makes it happen.
Right. Just as we wrap this part up, then okay, you got to have all of that plus an amazing team, which, yeah. What other advice would you give, not just from Attio, but, you worked at Segment, Envoy, MuleSoft, as well as advising multiple companies. What other advice would you give to startups looking at tackling sort of an incumbent market?
Listen to what the users are saying about the product. I think the temptation is to listen to the bad things. Oh, this is what's wrong with that product, but also listen to the good things. You really want to make sure you keep what they love and then you fix what they don't love just by noticing what's there in plain sight in forums, in discussions, in user groups. You can learn a lot.
That's brilliant. Hollie, thanks for joining us today to talk us through how to break into a new category. If people want to get in touch with you, where should they go?
They can go to LinkedIn/Hollie, HOLLIE. That's me.
That's you. Wonderful. Listen, thanks for your time. Really enjoyed talking to you today, and we look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thank you both.